A storm has erupted from within one of Europe's most admired royal households, a kingdom long praised for its elegant restraint and modern monarchy. Denmark, often seen as the epitome of regal stability, now finds itself under a glaring spotlight, not for pageantry or tradition, but for what is being described by Germany's leading magazine Bund as institutional chaos. This isn't mere tabloid chatter. This is a dramatic shift that's forcing Danes and royal watchers worldwide to re-evaluate the narrative they've trusted for decades. At the heart of this chaos are King Frederik X and Queen Mary, a royal couple who once captivated the continent with their seemingly unshakable bond and shared sense of duty. But now, their simultaneous and prolonged absence from public duties has ignited speculation, scrutiny, and, perhaps most dangerously, doubt. It began subtly, an event missed here, an unexplained delay there. But soon, the pattern was impossible to ignore. The king and queen, expected to be the stalwart faces of continuity and leadership following Queen Margrethe's historic abdication, have instead become central to a growing crisis. With Crown Prince Christian, the young heir to the throne, also reportedly absent from public engagements during this time, Denmark finds itself with a visible void at the very top of its constitutional monarchy. Critics have questioned how such a lapse could occur. Who is steering the ship of state? And why has there been no official explanation from the palace? From Berlin to Copenhagen, whispers turned into headlines. Germany's Bund, known for its incisive commentary on European nobility, did not hold back. It called the situation a failure of planning, and questioned the responsibility, or lack thereof, within the Danish royal institution. For a monarchy that has prided itself on order, transparency, and closeness to the people, this stinging critique cuts deep. The weight of those words, institutional chaos, resonates far beyond royal watchers. It suggests not just a personal absence, but a structural fragility. Could this be the first crack in what has always appeared to be a flawless royal facade? King Frederik ascended the throne in January 2024, inheriting a legacy from Queen Margrethe II that was marked by immense public trust and decades of steady leadership. His reign, although welcomed with widespread enthusiasm, has not enjoyed the honeymoon period that many had expected. The king, beloved for his athletic charm and deep sense of patriotism, has now found himself in a role that demands more than charisma, it demands presence. And presence, at least lately, has been in troublingly short supply. Queen Mary, often lauded for her style, humanitarian work, and dignified demeanor, has similarly disappeared from the public stage in recent weeks. Her absence, combined with the king's, has triggered a cascade of media speculation. Are their health concerns being hidden from the public? Is the couple facing marital strain? Is this the result of internal conflict within the royal household? Or is something more complex unfolding, something involving state matters that cannot yet be revealed? Sources close to the Danish court remain tight-lipped. Official royal channels have provided minimal information, choosing instead to remain focused on previously scheduled events that continue without their most prominent members. This silence, however, has only deepened public curiosity and unease. Transparency, once a cornerstone of the Danish monarchy's relationship with its citizens, seems to have evaporated in favor of evasiveness. The consequences of that shift may be more damaging than any personal revelation. Across social media, royal commentators and Danish citizens alike have voiced their concern. Threads on platforms like X, formerly Twitter, and Reddit have exploded with theories, ranging from the plausible to the outrageous. Some believe the king is grappling with the immense pressure of his new role. Others point to the Queen's well-documented commitment to her family in Australia and speculate about emotional or logistical tensions. A few even suggest a calculated retreat from the spotlight as the couple recalibrate their responsibilities. But amidst this sea of speculation, one thing is clear: the royal absence has left a leadership vacuum that no one has yet filled. The importance of a visible monarchy in Denmark cannot be overstated. The royal family is more than ceremonial, it is a symbol of national unity, tradition, and continuity. For generations, the Danish people have looked to their sovereign for reassurance in times of uncertainty. In a world rattled by political instability and economic strain, that steady presence has become even more vital. So when the king and queen vanish without explanation, the impact is not merely symbolic, it's deeply psychological. The people feel abandoned. The trust feels shaken. This isn't the first time European royals have faced internal turmoil. But what sets this moment apart is the immediacy with which it has unfolded. King Frederik and Queen Mary have been on the throne for less than 2 years. Their reign is still in its infancy. And yet, the cracks are already visible. Could this be a sign that the couple underestimated the demands of kingship? Or perhaps they are being overwhelmed by forces beyond their control, media pressure, political expectations, or even personal dilemmas. Interestingly, Queen Margrethe II, despite abdicating, continues to command a towering presence in the background. Her public appearances have remained steady, and many Danes still regard her as the spiritual anchor of the nation. In contrast, her son and daughter-in-law now appear like shadows, figures caught in the swirl of responsibilities they can no longer evade. There is an emerging narrative, dangerous though it may be, that the Queen Mother may need to step in, not as monarch, but as advisor, to help guide the younger royals through this storm. It's not just Denmark that's watching. Across the continent, other royal houses are paying attention. The British monarchy, reeling from its own internal challenges with King Charles's health and Prince Harry's estrangement, has kept a close eye on the Danish court. In Spain, where Queen Letizia and Queen Sophia's reported tensions have made headlines, the idea of institutional strain within another royal household feels familiar. But Denmark's case stands out because of its rarity. Until now, it was the poster child of regal grace and administrative excellence. To see it now engulfed in a storm of uncertainty feels almost surreal. Meanwhile, the international press continues to probe. Bundt's characterization of institutional chaos wasn't made lightly. It was a warning, a declaration that something fundamental is amiss. For a magazine with deep ties to royal reporting, such words are chosen with precision. And they have landed with the weight of a hammer in Danish media circles. Every editor, every journalist, every political commentator in Denmark is now asking, what is really happening inside Amalienborg? As silence continues to dominate from the palace, the Danish people are left in limbo. They deserve answers, not rumors, not whispers, real, concrete truth. What has sidelined their monarchs? When will they return to the spotlight? And what does this unprecedented absence mean for the future of the Danish monarchy? The royal court must act soon. They must address the nation, not through vague statements, but with authenticity. The longer this vacuum continues, the more the cracks will deepen. In a country where monarchy is built on public support, transparency is not optional, it is essential. The coming weeks will be crucial. Will King Frederik and Queen Mary re-emerge with clarity and purpose, putting an end to the speculation? Or will this moment mark the beginning of a long, painful erosion of public trust? Time will tell, but for now, all eyes remain fixed on Denmark, waiting for answers, watching for the slightest sign of movement, of explanation, of hope. The vacuum left by King Frederik and Queen Mary's silence grows louder by the day. The monarchy, though steeped in centuries of tradition, operates in a world that now demands constant transparency, accountability, and engagement. In this new digital age where speculation spreads like wildfire and public perception is shaped in minutes, absence is no longer merely noticed, it's scrutinized, analyzed, and often weaponized. That scrutiny is currently being turned inward, toward a royal household struggling with its most basic duty, visibility. Many Danes, particularly those who have grown up admiring Queen Margrethe's unwavering sense of duty, are beginning to express concern that the younger generation of royals is ill-prepared for the weight of the crown. Queen Margrethe reigned for over 50 years with an unshakable presence, even through personal tragedy and shifting political landscapes. She never disappeared. Her public engagements continued through illness, loss, and even controversy. Her legacy is one of persistence. It's a tall shadow under which King Frederik now stands, one that grows darker in his absence. The idea that the king and queen might be taking a step back to recalibrate or protect their family is understandable from a human perspective. But royalty, especially in a constitutional monarchy, is not simply a private citizen with a high-profile job. The crown is a symbol, a contract between monarchy and the people, grounded in visibility, accessibility, and duty. That contract feels strained at this moment. Some royal experts fear that the silence from Amalienborg may be doing long-term damage not only to Frederik and Mary's individual reputations but also to the institution they now embody. Insiders close to the palace, anonymous but credible sources with ties to court circles, have hinted that the king is experiencing what some are calling a transition shock. This is the term being used in private among royal advisors to describe the emotional and psychological weight that comes when a crown prince suddenly becomes king. It's the weight of expectation, amplified by grief, pressure, and endless scrutiny. It is said that King Frederik was deeply moved by his mother's abdication, a moment he both longed for and feared. He had prepared his whole life for the role, but preparation, as many monarchs have learned, is not the same as reality. Queen Mary, meanwhile, has always been seen as a pillar of calm dignity. Her Australian upbringing and strong personal ethics brought a refreshing modernity to the Danish court. But even the most poised public figures have private breaking points. Her schedule in recent months had already been intense before the sudden royal silence. Reports suggest that the Queen may be reassessing how to balance her duties as consort with the demands of motherhood, international diplomacy, and her ongoing involvement in key humanitarian initiatives. Could her absence reflect an internal push for a more sustainable model of queenship, one not rooted in ceaseless appearances, but meaningful, well-managed engagements? Such changes, however well-intentioned, need to be communicated clearly. The royal household has historically managed transitions well, but this time, their strategy appears opaque, reactive, and unsure. In an age when royal communications teams are expected to offer frequent updates, detailed schedules, and clear public messaging, the Danish court has remained frustratingly quiet. The public, loyal and curious, deserves more than silence. In the absence of clarity, the narrative has been hijacked by speculation. And while the immediate concern lies with King Frederik and Queen Mary's absence, the lack of engagement from Crown Prince Christian adds another layer of uncertainty. Still a teenager, Christian is not yet expected to shoulder the full responsibilities of kingship, but as heir to the throne, even symbolic participation is important. Royal watchers have noted his disappearing act as unusual, especially at a time when the young prince could be providing reassurance during a period of instability. Compounding the problem is the timing. Denmark is facing several national and international challenges. The war in Ukraine continues to affect European security conversations. The global economy is shaky, and even in stable nations like Denmark, inflation and cost of living pressures have citizens increasingly anxious. A visible monarchy, particularly one trusted and beloved, serves as a calming force in such times. The lack of that presence feels like an emotional void. The people are not angry, they are uneasy, uncertain, and in need of reassurance. There is also the growing conversation around republicanism. Though Denmark has long been considered one of the strongest bastions of constitutional monarchy in Europe, murmurs of change have begun to emerge. Small but vocal groups within academic, political, and activist circles have started asking pointed questions: is the monarchy still fit for purpose? Has it become too opaque? And if the king and queen cannot be present when most needed, what role do they truly serve? While such conversations remain on the fringes for now, prolonged royal absences will only feed that fire. Monarchies thrive on visibility, on their ability to reflect national identity and resilience. Without active participation, those symbolic foundations begin to erode. If Frederik and Mary do not act quickly to re-establish their presence, the door opens wider for debate about the very future of the Danish crown. But all is not yet lost. The public has not turned against the monarchy. There remains deep affection, admiration, and a desire for the king and queen to succeed. Danes want to see Frederik lead with strength and compassion, and they want Mary to return as the beacon of grace and modernity she has always represented. But time is of the essence. Each day of silence chips away at the public's patience and increases the burden of explanation once the royals do return. In this fragile moment, transparency is the only path forward. The king and queen must re-engage, not through grand declarations, but with humility, clarity, and purpose. Whether through a televised address, a joint appearance, or a thoughtful statement that acknowledges the concern while charting a way forward, their next move is critical. It must be deliberate, it must be sincere, and it must be soon. The silence cannot last forever. But what comes after it will determine the legacy of this new royal era. What do you believe lies behind the sudden disappearance of King Frederik and Queen Mary, and will the Danish monarchy survive this turning point stronger or weaker? As Denmark waits, the world watches. What comes next could redefine one of Europe's most admired monarchies. Could this moment of absence be the catalyst for a royal renaissance, or will it trigger a slow unraveling of the institution itself? Don't forget to like, share, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more royal updates and in-depth analysis from inside the palace gates.